Hello, I'm Jonathan. I'm a baker at Rigor Hill Market, and here I'm going to show you a very simple cookie recipe using some great products that you find from the market and around New York. It's a very simple butter cookie recipe, and what makes it a little bit special is this flour that I have in this container. This is actually a whole wheat pastry flour, and it's something you don't usually get in the supermarkets. Of course, you can do the same recipe with all-purpose flour or any kind of white flour, but this is a great whole wheat pastry flour that we get from Brooklyn Granary and Mill. They mill it fresh. It is so flavorful, and it's also so fine as well. So here I have it in the bowl. Local butter we have and we sell at the market from High Lawn Farm, and I'm just going to use a whole packet. Here's my favorite tool in the kitchen, a plastic scraper. I'm just going to push it down. Make sure it's nice and soft, and which is perfect for this recipe. Here I have a little bit of salt and some light brown sugar. Here I'm just gonna mix all this together. So this isn't like a butter cake or like a butter cookie where you have to, whip the butter and the sugar to light and fluffy. This is a very, very easy recipe for you to create at home. It's just everything mixed together to form a very nice cookie dough. Again, using it just highlights the incredible produce and the raw ingredients. There's only 4 ingredients in this cookie, and the butter and the flour, which are, the main ingredients in this cookie, really shine through. And that's what I love about baking really simple recipes, is that it shows off the wonderful products and ingredients that we use. There's always a time and place for really complicated products, and there's always a time and place for these simple baked goods that we love to make. Everything mixed together. I mainly do this because sometimes light brown sugar has lumps in it, and this just helps me to get rid of some of the lumps before I add in the flour. And now that this is all good, I'm gonna add my whole wheat pastry flour right into the bowl. Again, using my little plastic scraper, I am just going to mix all the ingredients together to form a nice soft dough. At this point, I will transfer and start using my hands to just bring it all together. Again, if you're baking, you don't always need all the fancy tools. Sometimes your hands is enough. And unlike a bread dough, I'm not trying to knead this or develop strength. I am really just trying to mix everything together. There's no lumps of flour, no lumps of sugar, and it can come together to form a nice soft dough. This is a process that really doesn't take long. I'll just put it out on the table for you to be able to see it come together. Just gonna spread it out and fold it over, a little bit like kneading a bread dough. But this is not to develop gluten, but just to check and make sure there's no lumps of flour or sugar that I missed. All right, and here is our little cookie dough. So right now I'm just gonna set this aside to rest for a minute. You could also leave this in the chiller and use it a different day. If you were to keep it in the chiller, I would wrap it in plastic. Here I have a dough that I mixed earlier and chilled. I am going to unwrap it, put it right on this table. And we don't really want to use it straight from the chiller because it is quite firm. So you could leave it out to thaw for a bit. It should be pliable with your fingers. You should be able to bend it. It's okay if it breaks, you can always push it back together. Just like that. I'm gonna start with my rolling pin again and a little bit of dusting flour. And you can always start by leaving it a little tap. All right, now that we know the dough is nice and pliable, give it a little bit more dusting flour and just rolling out. If you're not confident rolling right on the table, if you're afraid of it sticking, go ahead and roll it between 2 pieces of parchment. That would make it much easier for you to manipulate and work. So I would love to tell you that at Rigor Hill Market, we do this by hand to make all our cookies, but the truth is we have big machines that rolls out dough and just makes it perfect every time. So depending on the kind of cookie you're trying to make, I would go between 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. And we just try our best to get it even. All right, so once it's at a thickness that I like, I just lift it up and move it around the table to make sure it is going to come off. And here I'm going to pull my cookie cutters, and here it's where you can really go crazy. One of my favorite things to do is when I go to a thrift store is to look for cookie cutters, or when you go to antique stores, see if there's any new interesting shapes. And here we've just an assortment, you know, you have like your gingerbread man, you have little flower cutters, some maple leaf, and simple round cutters. With round cutters, you can cut large cookies just like this, which I will put right on my baking sheet over here. I'll make another one. And with a smaller one, I'm just gonna cut it up to make a little Linzer cookie situation. I'll also make a little gingerbread man. So be creative with whatever you want to bake. Maple leaf. Little flower cutters. So at this point, you will have to decide whether you're gonna bake it or you're gonna put it in the freezer to thoroughly chill. If you're trying to keep the definition of the shape, definitely freeze it and bake it from frozen so that it keeps its shape better. If you're doing just round cookies or you don't wanna wait, you know, you don't wanna freeze it, you can definitely just go ahead and bake it right now. It bakes in a 300 Fahrenheit oven. And depending on the size of the cookie, it would take between 10 and 20 minutes. It should be lightly golden brown on the sides. And this extra dough that you have, you can always roll it out, you can braid it, you can do all kinds of things with cookie dough. Whatever you can imagine, you can bake. It will not look the same because as it bakes, it will spread a little bit, but be creative. Here, I'm just going to put it into the oven. Let's see the oven.
Sure.
All right, now they are looking great. I'm gonna pull them out of the oven. A little golden brown around the corners, quite a light bake. And now, let them cool. When they are very, very hot, they are soft. They need to cool in order to firm up. And this is where there's lots of different things you can do, you know. You can go ahead and make a little icing. You can buy the tubes of icing at the grocery store too, or you can make it from scratch. It's very, very simple. You take a little icing sugar, you mix a little milk into it, into something that you can draw with, basically. Here we have a wonderful apple butter that we sell at the market, and I'm just gonna use this to make like a little cookie sandwich. This is why I bake the one with the little hole. So if you make a little cookie sandwich, you can grab, just give this a good stir. This is a product made of, you know, no preservatives. It's no thickeners. It's looser than some of the store-bought stuff. And just put it right on there. You can even see the little chunks of apple still left inside. And just spread it out. This, if you buy a jam or an apple butter from the market, it is made with less sugar than a conventional jam would be. So if you were to make a cookie sandwich, unfortunately, it will not stay as crisp. But that's why you make it and eat it fresh. Put it on just like a little Linzer. And perfect for the season. Thank you so much for watching. This is our little cookie recipe. Again, please come down to the market, check out the great products, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.